What's good, YouTube? It's KB with Just Do Boxing, back with another video. And I wanted to give my thoughts on tonight's main event, top rank card. We got a title fight between the Beast from the East, Joe Smith Jr. versus Steve Geffrard. And Joe Smith, 27-3, 21 KOs, 6 feet, 76-inch reach. Geffrard, he's 6'2", 31 years old, orthodox fighter fighting out of Miami, Florida. Last time we seen Steve in the ring was against Dennis Grachev, March 4th of last year, where Geffrard won by unanimous decision. Both basically a journeyman with a 20-11-1 record, in my opinion. So, since losing his first 2 fights of his career back in 2013 when he turned pro, Geffrard has won 18 fights straight, bringing his record to 18-2 with 12 KOs. Now, to be fair, he faced some subpar competition, with most of his opponents having double-digit losses. So Joe Smith is going to be a big step up in terms of competition for this kid, and he's no doubt about it, he's going to have his hands full with Joe Smith Jr. tonight. And like I said, it's going to be his toughest opponent to date, so tonight we're going to find out what Geffrard is made of, man. He was only knocked out once, and that was he was a TKO loss in his pro debut against Kentrell Claiborne. But he better come prepared tonight, because Joe Smith is definitely a heavy puncher. He's definitely coming to test his chin. And, it's not a lot of footage on Geffrard. From the little I was able to see, he looks like a good boxer, solid boxer. He got good punching power. Throws good combinations. I like his balance. He seems like he's always in position to punch, which is good. And I think his record he might be a little better than what his record suggests, possibly. But that remains to be seen, because he's faced the limited opposition. You know what I mean? And one big concern of mine for Geffrard is the inactivity over the years. Would that be a factor? You know what I mean? He fought 5 times, I believe, in the last 5 years. So inactivity, like I always say, could be a fighter's worst nightmare. Inactivity and inexperience at this top level. Joe Smith is going into this fight the WBO light heavyweight champion. So, he's been at this stage before. He had several notable fights. So he's obviously faced a better opposition. And I think this could be an entertaining fight for the most part. I think in terms of skill, it's somewhat evenly matched. But like I said, I get a power and the experience edge to Joe Smith. Because he's coming in there definitely the heavier puncher, and but Geffrard, got him by 2 inches in height. So maybe he'll be able to neutralize some of what Joe Smith like to do, man. But that remains to be seen. But we're going to see tonight. We're definitely going to find out what Geffrard is made of, because we all know Joe Smith is coming to fight. Then we got the Beast from the East, Joe Smith Jr. He's coming off a majority decision over Maxim Vlasov, April 10th of last year. Vlasov came into that fight 45-3, so he was by far the most experienced and proved to be the toughest test to date for Joe Smith. That fight was for the vacant WBO title. And, that fight went 12 rounds. There was no knockdowns, and it was a 12-round war. Maxim made Joe Smith earn a belt for sure. 12-round war, both fighters going toe-to-toe for pretty much the entirety of the fight. Joe Smith looked uncomfortable early, while Vlasov, being a more experienced fighter, and he looked it. Joe Smith was all balanced early. He looked like he was dealing with some swelling around his eye that seemed to give him some trouble. But he fought back hard, and he eventually hurt Vlasov in like the 7th round when they traded hooks. He kind of jumped on him. And from there, think that kind of was a turning point in the fight. Still was a pretty even fight all the way through. It was back and forth action. I mean, the rounds were close, with either of the guys just slightly edging it. I mean, they just traded punches in the center of the ring for most of the fight. Fought in sort of a like phone booth style fight. So it was definitely highly entertaining for the fans, for sure. Like I said, there was no knockdowns, but there was plenty of punches landed by both fighters. Joe Smith landed a career high 174 power shots, and he also had a career high 888 total punches thrown. So yeah, he definitely had to work his ass off for that belt, and it proved to be enough for Joe Smith to become the champion. Great fight, back and forth action. 12 rounds. I wouldn't have minded if that fight was 15 rounds the way it was going, but nonetheless, 12-round war. It was close. It could have went either way in my opinion, but I truly think the right man won. You seen Joe Smith really wanted it toward the end of the fight, and he also won 2 of the 3 championship rounds. He won 11 and 12 convincingly, and I think that was enough to get him the fight in my opinion, and he won by majority decision. A great win for him. But tonight's fight, we got Joe Smith Jr. against Steve Geffrard. Like I said, Geffrard is I think he could compete in terms of skill, but would a moment be too much for him? This is his first title shot. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, he only lost twice, and that was back-to-back losses. His pro debut in the very next fight following that, and since then he's won 18 fights straight. His kid hasn't lost since 2013, when he turned pro. So it's going to be interesting. I think, in terms of skills, it's pretty even, man. But like I said, I get a power edge to Joe Smith Jr. and the experience edge. But we're going to see if that's going to be enough to win him this fight. We all know he can punch. He can box as well. So we'll see how he approaches this fight. But we know one thing about Joe Smith. He comes to fight, and he's definitely going to try to hurt Geffrard at some point. So whether it be early or late. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see these two styles clash. And Geffrard coming in with a couple inches taller than Joe Smith. So, I'm having a height advantage. Let's see if he's able to utilize it. Like I said, Joe Smith is more experienced, so I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up winning this fight. And I haven't seen a ton of footage on Geffrard, but from what I've seen, he looked like he can box. He got solid power. I like the way he digs to the body. As you've seen in some of the pictures in the video, this kid likes to go to the body. And we all know if you want to slow down a puncher, you go to his body. So let's see if Geffrard is aware, if he has the awareness and the intelligence to try that early, to go to Smith's body, because if he can't slow him down, Smith is usually a well-conditioned athlete, and he comes in shape. So he might want to invest in going to the body of Smith to slow him down early, because if he don't, he could find himself getting knocked out. But in my opinion, I think this is a slightly, somewhat of a 50-50 fight. The skill gap isn't nothing tremendous or anything like that. I just think the big difference is, for the most part, is inexperience on Geffrard's behalf, and Smith having the obvious power advantage, and then with Geffrard only fighting 5 times in the last 5 years, with his inactivity catch up to him. We're gonna find out tonight, but that's my thoughts on the fight, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think of the main event between the Beast from the East, Joe Smith Jr. and Steve Geffrard. Get in that comment section, comment, don't forget to subscribe. Get in that comment section and let me know if I gave the Beast from the East, Joe Smith Jr. and Steve Geffrard their just due, because that's what I do over here, Just Do Boxing. To the next one, I'm out. Peace.